Hi, I'm Bob Clancy, and I'm Senior Vice President of BIZPHYX Incorporated. Our company has been helping firms to certify to quality and environmental standards since the year 2001. And I'm here to talk about a very critical portion or aspect of any quality management system, corrective action. Corrective action is critical, and yet it's really misunderstood by many of the organizations that I've dealt with. It's very common for people to try to solve a defect or an issue by simply picking up the phone or sending an email to someone. We can consider the problem resolved, but do we really know if it's been resolved? No, we don't, but it may be the best effort that we've been able to give up until we implement a formal corrective action system. That system requires us to actually record an issue and then record the containment of the defect that we've taken and put this into a database and use it for lessons learned to help prevent problems in the future. Another element of corrective action that's really important and yet very poorly done is the analysis of the problem that caused a defect in the first place. So we may contain a defect, but we haven't done a strong analysis of the real problem and gotten to the root of the problem. And so there's a possibility that a defect could recur in the future. Another, and probably the last aspect, is the verification of the effectiveness of our corrective action plan in order to prevent defects from recurring in the future. These elements are very important in any kind of formal corrective action plan. So let me kind of illustrate. When it comes down to the containment of the defect, containment is important because if we don't contain defects, then we're likely to cause ourselves significant rework and cost introduced into our production process. For example, I have a lawn tractor, and every Saturday when I come out to mow the yard, the right front tire is leaked there and it's almost flat, and I go out, and because it's a quick thing for me to do, I just pump the tire up and I go ahead and get on about my business. But it does take me some time. It would certainly be better and more useful if I would just find out what the cause of the defect was and go ahead and fix the tire and not have to pump it up each and every time. More importantly is the notion of coming to grips with what actually caused my tire to go flat in the first place. So in the event that I go ahead and examine the tire and I contain the defect, perhaps I find a nail in the tire. Well, it's really incumbent upon me to find out where that nail came from in order to prevent such an occurrence from happening again. This doesn't have a great amount of significance for my lawn tractor analogy, but let's suppose that I get in my truck and I head off to my favorite store, go in the store, do some shopping, I come back out and the tire on my truck is flat. This is a whole different scenario because not taking time to find out what the root cause of this problem is could have a future effect on not only me, but anyone else that drives my vehicle, and possibly others that may drive their vehicles in the same place as well. So it's incumbent upon me to do an actual analysis of what took place. So once I've taken the tire off and I've fixed the tire, I look at it and I see there's a nail in the tire. It would be easy for me to jump to the conclusion or to the symptom of the issue and say, well, the nail was the cause of the flat tire. Certainly that's the case, and the nail was what caused the initial defect, but I should ask the question, well, where did this nail come from? Why did I actually have the flat tire in the first place? I had it because I picked up a nail somewhere, and once I ask that question, I might say, where did I pick up the nail? And I begin to look around in the parking lot, and I find that there are nails in that lot scattered about that are identical to the one that's in my tire. I've now come to grips with what is pretty likely to be the root cause of the issue, and that was I drove through nails in this particular parking lot, not somewhere else, and so I can take an action to prevent recurrence of this problem by going in and notifying management and asking them to sweep out the parking lot and clean this up. And in doing so, I've prevented myself from having another occurrence of this issue, were I to drive back to the same location, and probably prevented somebody who would get in my vehicle from having the same problem, or someone else who just drives through that is totally unrelated to me in a different vehicle from having the issue. So as a result of this, I'm able to contain and prevent the future recurrence of the issue. I can verify this by coming back later and determining whether or not the nails have been removed from the parking lot, by likely avoiding to drive over the same path, which would be a good idea. This type of a process is critical to any business, but if you think about it in terms of those critical businesses that we use every day, such as the airline business, airplane mechanics, the medical field, those areas where it's really critical that mistakes be prevented from occurring, this process becomes one that is very valuable because it's thorough. We do a complete analysis, we record the results, we verify the results, and in doing so, we not only contain current defects, but we drive the future causes to the ground and prevent them from happening again. So that's it. I think that'll help you strengthen your corrective action process if you think about it in that way. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email at info@bizphyx.com. Take care and thanks for listening.